Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind. Do your own research because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties, because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda.
All right, good evening, legends. How are you? We're on fire, guys. We're on fire in this information war. And we got a special guest tonight. We'll bring him in a minute. I'll just run through a couple of things. Who's also out there making a difference, guys. And this is what we want. This is what we say to you on Stop the Right. I mentioned this on the podcast the other day on Monday at Maggie's, guys. This is your channel, right? This has always been the people's channel. If you've got some stuff, we'd love you to get it together. Do yourself a minute clip, a minute and a half at most clip, all right, on a topic, and get it into us, guys, all right? Because that'll give you the confidence when you see yourself here. You'll get some followers. You'll start getting moving. And this is all about exposure. All right, but now it's about us all working together, okay, and doing the best job we can to get the information that we have at hand out, right? So let's run through a couple of things. We've got a bat virus. Now, maybe we have got a bat virus, guys, but don't fret about it because I'll have a vaccine for it in the next 5 minutes and, you know, everything will be all right. This virus will be no longer, but interesting the stuff that's coming out, isn't it? We've got the gangland wars are just going on all around the country, guys. Well, mainly Melbourne and Sydney, you know, but we got the food on the MSM news, all right, telling us that they're telling us poison. Like, unbelievable. Is this from you? I push the button. Is this from us and you and, you know, getting the word out? Because the MSM's now picked up on it, guys, that are doing a show on the poisoning in the supermarkets. I mean, brilliant. P. Diddy gets away with no life. You know, like, this is just chaotic, mate, you know. And I just want to say, be careful if you have e-bikes with lithium batteries or any sort of lithium batteries, guys. We are having a lot of stuff, all right, really igniting and going off. But, yeah, I think the bat virus one, you know, if some poor fella's died, obviously I feel very sorry for him, but very funny the timing, isn't it? Okay, so a couple of things before we now bring in our guest. Some car laws. Well, we're going to cover them tonight, guys. I saw a clip in the studio. As I say, I don't know too much, but I did have a quick breeze through tonight. And, yeah, but you know that in a couple of states, it's illegal to warm up your car in your driveway, guys. I was just letting you know that council will get onto this, all right, especially now we've mentioned it. Okay, they'll probably get the fine book out and start wrapping you. So you can't go warming up your car in particular states in Australia in your driveway. I mean, it is just like getting right out of hand, guys. Local government representatives have walked out during a National Party MP Webster's speech at National Conference, calling comments she made about Aboriginal cultural heritage appalling, insensitive, and really disrespectful. Well, I was just watching a live before I come on here with Wade, Jackie, and Mark Mack. And Mark Mack was just telling us about a discriminatory Aboriginal thing that's going on down in Victoria where no white fellas are involved. They're not invited. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on there. And what are they doing? They're treating as corporations. So, guys, it's on in the background, all right? We didn't know about that. We've only just found out about that. No, anyone that, hasn't seen it, maybe go and watch Wade's live later on tonight or whatever and just have a look at it, guys. Anyway, we've got another patient, 200 days for life-saving heart surgery at Westmead Hospital. Ryan Park, get your finger at your ass, son. You're doing a shocking job, mate. You need to go or do something. It's as simple as that. A $10 billion housing plan. What a load of friggin' crap that is. I'm not even going to go into it, but the bullshit they try and tell us, guys. So let's get our guest in. Our guest tonight is Brady Gunn, guy. We've never had Brady on the show before, but I've met Brady down in Canberra. Had a little bit of a chat, not that much. But Brady, welcome to the show, mate, and welcome to the tyranny that's called Australia.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, Brady, we often play your little rants, and here's one of them that was just brilliant that you put out the other day.
Sister says hi. It's the delusion, isn't it? The delusion of the world. And I don't mean just our general delusions, like my hairline isn't receding. I mean absolute envelopment of complete delusion. Everywhere you look, you're just hitting the head with a bat. My hairline isn't receding. I was watching the footy the other day. They said, here comes the bald kid. So, not a ball boy, not a ball girl, ball kid. Half expected a little baby goat to run out. This little goatee and a ball attached to it. But no, little girl ran out with the ball. Not ball girl, ball kid.
Well,
brilliant stuff.
What? I saw the same thing on the tennis, Brady. You be watching the tennis, mate. I know you're a sportsman. They've called them ball kids on the actual tennis. And the other one was the cricket has got totally woke, and there will be no Australia Day test.
Wow.
Like,
sobering, isn't it? Yeah, I was just sort of watching a few things over the last couple of days, and we all knew it was coming, but when you see it actually sort of hitting the ground, it's pretty sobering, this sort of stuff. But it's good because we need to force this out. It was always going to happen, and now it is. And so the more it's out in the open, the more we can deal with it, the more we can move on. They're looking pretty desperate to me, very desperate.
Oh, they are, and this goes back a long way. What do you feel like? Me and Mel can remember when we had 5 viewers. When we kicked this thing off, Brady. Brady, how does it look when you look back now, standing in that park for the first X amount of months or whatever it was, just on your own, man, just standing there? What was some of the stuff like? The
for those who don't know. For those who don't know, Brady is the person who started stand in the parks that are all over the place now,
and done it on his own. So I'm wondering what your thought process was when, just for the people out there that are doing it tough, Brady, you stood there for months and months and months with it, nobody, just yourself.
Yeah, it was started in August 2020, so it was pretty early in the piece, and I went to a rally in Sydney. I think it was probably the first rally against COVID, which was pretty eye-opening for me. It was. I don't think I'd ever even been to a rally before, let alone seen behaviour like that from police and into the face of just such ridiculousness. You could have sped that rally up and played Benny Hill music to it, and it was a freaking comedy. It was just, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I won't go into it, but after that, I thought, what a wasted opportunity. And that we were all, there's probably only 200 or 300 people down there, but we didn't really share any details. We didn't come up with a plan. We weren't a support for each other. And so I saw this sort of place for a stand rather than a protest where we were more local and be no leaders, so no one could get arrested. And it was every Sunday at 10, so no one had to organise it, and we knew where each other were. And we'd get offline because it was all offline at that stage, so we could have a physical energy exchange, which was really important to us. And So I came up with this whole idea, but I guess when it really boiled down to it, I was standing in that park for myself. None of us really knew what to do. A lot of us still don't really know what to do now. But we've just been so blindsided by such psychopathy that we're almost just coming up for air now. It was just so crazy and so whole, and so we just got slingshotted out of off this world that we thought we knew, with people we thought we knew in it, to the edge of the stratosphere. We've just got to trying to figure out how to live in this new place where we sort of landed. And so I remember in the very sort of first instance, before I'd even stood in that park, because I was sharing it online to try and get people down there, I was saying, I'm going to stand for my personal truth. We're all different. I'm going to stand for my personal truth and my freedom. If you want to stand for your personal truth, we've all got different truths. We've got different religions, different backgrounds, different beliefs, different morals. If you want to stand for your personal truth and your freedom, then I'll be in the park. We'll stand together. It was always totally linear. So it was just as much about me sort of making a stand with my body and drawing a line in the sand and standing there with a silly yellow T-shirt on, just exposing myself, saying, oh, I know what's going on and I don't agree with it. I didn't quite anticipate standing there for nearly 3 months by myself. And there was a video. It was all on video. I'd never done a video online before in my life until the second week, and I think it was like week 9 or something. I was doing a video saying, we're all standing here for freedom, and we're standing here for truth, and we're standing for what's right. I was the only one there. I just didn't want to look like a dickhead in the park by myself. But all of those weeks, I was just sort of standing there for me, just as much as anything. I believed in what I was doing, and I genuinely believed that people would come eventually. But it was just as much about me drawing a line in my sand, using my body as an energetic pinpoint to sort of for myself. And so, but then 2 people came down. And I remember they said to me afterwards, they said, the look on your face was priceless. I was like a little kindergarten kid that made a friend. I said, are you here for standing in the park? So I got all excited because I'd been standing by myself for so long. But within about 6 months of that point there was about 1,500 stand in the parks in 40 countries.
Wow.
Well
That's
done.
amazing.
Another Aussie. Yeah, well done. Son. That's absolutely brilliant. And look, it's still going. You know, it's still there. You know what I mean? People are still doing it. We've got one down here in Wollongong, etc.
That's Aubrey.
Here's Aubrey standing in the park. I've just been shown a picture of now on, the other side over there. So, look, congratulations, Brady, because it does take a lot to stand and draw the line. And you answered that question perfectly. If I had to answer that question for you, I couldn't have answered it, more better to what I wanted the people to hear. Sorry about my English there. But, the perfect thing, mate. You drew your line in the sand. You stood, right, and you believed in what you were doing. And I think that's the crutch for all of us. You know what I mean? You need to now draw a line in the sand, folks. If you haven't drawn that line, you haven't drawn it. Because when you draw it, things change because you got to stand by it. And that's the difference. So I'm going to be pushing. And, after Jody's little event that's coming up this weekend and into next week, I got some other ideas, and we're going to be pushing really hard, guys, right? Because that's what we need to do at this stage of the final that we're in. So thank you, Brady, for all you've done, mate. People love it. They love you. You can tell by the comments. So thank you for your service in the war, sir.
There's a love fest going on over here for you. Brady, do you want to stick around? Because we've got some news, and it'd be good to get your comment on it.
Have a chat, mate.
On at the moment. So if you'd like to hang around, then that'd be great. All right, so what we've got is we've got the childcare situation that has blown up, and even to the point where mainstream media is covering it.
A horrific wake-up call this morning that the rules and the regulations we thought were protecting our children are just not good enough. It follows revelations of horrific alleged crimes against children across several childcare centres in Victoria. More than 2,000 families have been affected by this. Now our leaders are finally acting. But it follows years and years of experts, advocates and government bodies calling for change.
All right, so we've got the mainstream media covering it, but so a lot of people have weighed into this, and none more qualified to weigh in on this than actually Glenn Fisher.
26-year-old Josh Brown just been charged working in a daycare centre for 70 separate offences against fucking children. So bad is it that they've got to inform over 1,200 parents around children, or make awareness around certain children 1,200 of them. But what I wanted to fucking speak to specifically is whether this fucker gets bail, right? Whether this fucker gets bail. Because in Australia, in New South Wales, all 4 of my offenders were given bail, right? But if you was to do an assault and robbery or an armed robbery, you cannot get bail, right? You're deemed a VO, violent offender. Therefore, you've got to wait in jail until you go for Supreme Court bail, which can take up to a year or longer, right? That's not the debate. The debate is that offences against children is not deemed a VO, violent offence, and therefore they are given instant bail, these fuckers. So if this person, piece of shit, gets bail, someone needs to be asking the question why. This fucking person should be going to jail. Do not pass go. He should be put in the main fucking jail where he has to fucking fend for himself like those little fucking children. Because I can tell you those 70 fucking children are impacted.
Now, it's actually caused a lot of furor to where the average person is actually putting out rants about this as well.
Morning, everybody. That's just going to be really short and sweet. And yet again, I'm going to say the things that everybody's thinking, but not allowed to, politically can't say out loud. I'm going to call it out for Anthony Albanese, our Prime Minister, about the maggot. And I'm not saying his name, because when you say someone's name, that's you're elevating them to status. Do you know what I mean? So don't say his name anymore, this maggot from Melbourne that's now just desiccated 11 or 1,200 children and their families. So we're looking at 10 or 15,000 people that are going to be in all of this. The teachers, the family, the aunties, the uncles, the grandparents, they all have to be a part of this too. So what I'm saying is we're going to bring it in. Public hangings, that's what we need to do. I'm pretty sure Pauline Hanson would kick the piece of wood out and let them go. If not, I'll do it for you. And I'm probably sure after 105,000 people on my last post calling this in, I'm pretty sure there's a couple of hundred parents who'll be standing behind me to pull the trigger of the gun, public hanging, floggings. But you know what I think he should be done? He should be castrated, put over an ant's nest for a week so he understands what pain really is before he gets to, hang from that rope for what he's done to all of those children.
So there is a number of those, and it's also the childcare is also trending, I think, at number 5 on Twitter at the moment still. So yeah,
that was a pretty heavy. Like she just let go there. I mean, if she's just a normal person that's putting out a couple of posts there, I don't know whether she is. I haven't seen her, but and she's got people like on it like that. I mean, man, she just fired all the bullets there, didn't she? That really gets. When people do things like that really gives people the freedom to think down the same line, you know what I mean? And it builds the and I think that's a good thing. I don't think that we need to react how she's talking. Things need to be done, certainly. Public hangings, well, that's up to the public, but I feel that the way that these people are bringing things out, you know what I mean, is very good to get conversation. And this is what we don't have. We don't have these conversations, because no one wants to talk about it. But now it's different, man. So many people are getting caught. And, there's 2 in Melbourne in the last couple of days, you know what I mean? So that have hit the mainstream media. So, look, how do we fix this? We've got a world that's run by the Satan of the synagogue of Satan, So, in all essence, guys, that's the bottom line.
Brady,
this is not a nice place that we are living in.
Brady, it's a fairly volatile topic at the moment. Have you got any thoughts on it, or?
Oh, I reckon he will get bail. They're trying to normalise pedophilia as much as possible, and I reckon he will get bail.
Yep.
But you make good points, Guru. It's every single thing that happens at the moment is pushing it out and popping the pimple and getting these conversations happening, and it just goes to show the level of ridiculousness of their free speech policies. Like, they're going to stop us all talking. We've all got each other literally in the palm of our hands with iPhones, and that's their plan, is to stop us talking. It's just ridiculous. Everyone's the media now. No one watches the news, and everyone watches everybody else, and we've all got stuff to say, and it just gives us more people who've got more to say, and it just gives, like you said, more license to us the more people say it. So it's a brilliant thing to watch.
Yeah,
not pedophilia, obviously. I mean, but and we used to. Those blokes used to be taken out the back and fucking dealt with. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't even a question. That bloke was gone not even that long ago, 20, 30 years ago. He was in big trouble, that bloke.
Well, it is interesting because when you said about the normalisation of the pedophilia, and there is actually an inherent relationship with the banks, especially with Westpac at the moment. And I wasn't aware of this until Justice Matters actually brought this up.
It's been reported that Australia is the world's third largest consumer of online live child SA material. That's not per capita, we're the third largest overall. So would you promote Westpac after an AUSTRAC investigation found they were associated with tens of thousands of child SA offences, which enabled hundreds of PD files to destroy thousands of children's lives? Well, that's exactly what the NRL has done since 2022. They promote Westpac during every game. And incredibly, Braveheart's child protection charity promotes Westpac as being safe for children. It's sickening, and we'll go through the details in upcoming episodes. But for now, let's break down what Westpac did. In 2020, Westpac agreed to pay the largest fine in Australian corporate history, a record $1.3 billion civil penalty for more than 23 million breaches of anti-money laundering laws. Now, in AUSTRAC's original statement of claim against Westpac, it uncovered 12 customers who transferred almost $500,000 to the Philippines in more than 3,000 separate transactions. These transactions exhibited telltale signs of child exploitation, such as the live streaming of child SA offences and even PD files meeting up with children while they were overseas. Braveheart's child protection charity founder Hetty Johnston outlined the human impact, stating that Bravehearts was cutting ties with Westpac because over 3,000 transactions translates to over 3,000 occasions where a child endured unimaginable, yet preventable, sexual and physical trauma, while seemingly Westpac didn't care enough to undertake their regulatory oversight. Although Johnston and Bravehearts have since backflipped and they now support Westpac, which is staggering. Anyway.
We'll leave it there. The full clip's available on the website.
I say they're all in this together. They're all in it together, guys. Every single one of them, from the NRL to the cricket to the banks to the judiciary to the police academies to the government to the courts. They're all in it together.
And what is amazing is the amount of what they're coming after. The judicial system is there to protect the innocent, and instead of that, what they are doing is they are persecuting the innocent. You know, this is horrendous. This is from Norwich Street Inc. A woman sobs quietly in the rain. She's sitting for what's left of her life, a broken suitcase, a soggy blanket, and a few precious belongings. The council has removed her shelter. It was bulldozed. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. That's not only what they're doing. Celine has put out about, well, actually, we've got so many newcomers to the screen. I can't even keep up. It's awesome. For so long, there's a handful of us, and now there's all of these people popping up and speaking up. And this young lady, I don't know who she is, but she's talking about the gaslighting that's going on with the ABC.
Gaslights an entire country. So get this, the ABC just published an article on Australia's housing crisis, and apparently the problem isn't demand driven by mass immigration, it's you, the native-born Australian. Apparently we're having too many kids. They seriously said that the bigger part of the housing crisis is the natural increase of the Australian-born population. You heard that right. At the time, our birth rate is the lowest in recorded history, when we're literally not replacing ourselves or being at replacement rate. The ABC wants you to believe that the problem is birth rate. Not that 1 million migrants were added in a few years. Not that the record intake is crushing our housing, hospitals and infrastructure. Not the international student Ponzi scheme. It's apparently just Aussie babies and on the supply side. And then they go ahead and frame immigration as a small piece in the puzzle. I don't think that's that small when Australia had one of the highest growth rates in the OECD. This is what media capture looks like. The state-sanctioned broadcaster running PR for Big Australia, whilst at the same time blaming Aussies. I don't really think it's incompetence at this point. I think it's ideology.
Oh, it's so refreshing to see young people, like basically somebody of her age who looks like a uni student, and she's basically saying what we've been saying for. That is so that it's just awesome.
Refreshing.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's refreshing.
It is refreshing.
Yeah, I've got great faith in these kids. They get a pretty hard time, and I think, A, it's our fault. They're just kids. And B, a lot of people aren't sort of down the youth centre trying to help them out even after knowing that. But so setting aside the blue-haired sect, which will come good anyway, a lot of these kids are really switched on. Even these young kids know stuff that we don't even know. They've grown up very differently, and they're great little kids. They've softened up from what we were, and the world's changed quite a lot. But I've got great faith in these kids being able to save this. Great faith.
Yeah, no,
I need to believe in them.
I know it's fantastic, and like of course we've got another aspect of this too. Saletta against the Machine. She's another young one that's popped up in the last 12 months who beat safety commissioner, and she's basically made a note of the aged care, and it's just this story. I just couldn't even believe it.
My God, this is grim. Short answer, no. Long answer, absolutely the fuck not. This article is absolutely wild. It talks about this lady here, Gwenda, who's a member of some aged council or whatever, and she talks about how there's going to be an inevitable influx of residents in aged care facilities who need assistance with dilation. Now, for those who don't know, yes, if you get bottom surgery as a man, if you invert you've got to dilate it, keep it open every single day, otherwise it closes up because, surprise, surprise, it's not a real vagina. Now, I can speak to this because I used to work in aged care. I used to be a nurse in a couple of nursing homes. And let me tell you, I had some extremely violent male residents. I'm talking like no less than 2 people in the same room at all times. And when they'd lash out, believe it or not, even at 70 or 80, that male aggression, it hits hard. I couldn't imagine having to deal with a male resident who's got severe dementia, who is reverting back to, when he lived as a man, and you've got to... No. This woman then suggests that it needs to be incorporated into aged care training. Like aged care workers don't already have enough on their plate. Now they've got to... She then has the audacity to say that we've got to change the minds of people, so facilities have to hire based on emotional intelligence. So therefore, sorry, if you don't want to stick a dildo in an 80-year-old man's rot pocket, you might be a bigot. Man, there is nothing that trans won't touch, infiltrate. No, fuck off. I don't know what the solution is, maybe a catheter, but...
Wow, they're really pushing it hard in every aspect of our community. Aged care, and they're trying to bring in shit like that. Let the people friggin' have their last couple of... that really irritates me when it comes to the aged, man. But, she makes a good point. Probably, a lot of people, maybe new viewers of the show might go, what a ridiculous point. But no, it's what they're bringing in. And that's what they're doing. They will pass the laws to put it in, or they call laws acts. They're all acts. Everyone's an actor. Talk about that later in the show too. But anyway.
All right, look, we're at 8:30, so we've got a lot on this weekend. We've got the convoy, and then immediately afterwards, we've got to notice that Jackie's setting up a booth down at the Victoria. Oh, I'll bring that in afterwards. Let's have a look at what's going on with the convoy.
And the details for the Freedom Unites Caz to Canberra parade are as follows. Friday the 4th of July, 7 a.m, Plainlands Mobile to Armidale. Friday the 4th of July, 1:30 p.m. to 5 p.m, Armidale to Singleton. Friday the 4th of July, 7 a.m, Gold Coast to Singleton. Saturday the 5th of July, 7 a.m, Singleton to Pheasants Nest. And Saturday the 5th of July, 2 to 4:30 p.m, Pheasants Nest to Canberra at Epic. All small towns will be stopped along the way, and lunch is also organised en route. And Jackie Dundee will lead the march north. Friday the 4th of July at 11 a.m, Albury BP truck stop in Lavington, they will be leaving. Friday the 4th of July between 1 and 3:30 p.m, they will drive from Albury to Wagga. On Saturday the 5th of July at 9 a.m. to 11 a.m, they will drive from Wagga to Canberra. And the Freedom Unites Caz to Canberra parade also has the opportunity to sponsor someone. If you cannot make it, then please pop along and sponsor someone. And in the 125th year recognition of our Constitution signing and power, we the people give it, the Freedom Unites Caz to Canberra poses the question, if the politicians aren't swearing an oath to uphold the Constitution, then who are they really?
Now, just on that, Wagga people, there's also a notice here that Jackie Dundee will be live in Wagga at the Victory Memorial Gardens on Friday the 4th, which is tomorrow, at the Eternal Flame, for people who would like to sign the Solemn Leave and Covenant, and she should be there around 3 p.m-ish.
And we may be, we don't know, guys, but the show could come live from Wagga tomorrow. It may not. It may come from the studio. We don't know yet. We will see how we're going. Okay, Caz.
That's it. All right. So, look, economically, we're not doing too good, and there's just more and more. Look, I've got so many things going on here. Like it's new road rules, $34 million spent on speed cameras. It's just that, like, it's just like a farmer fined for trying to bring drought relief to his neighbor, but like there's just so much stuff that's negative going on. Anyway, but look, Scotty's done a really good breakdown of just the big picture.
Really is. Today, our last paper mill, zinc and lead smelters warn that they're going. Aluminium and steel is already collapsing. Plastic glass is already gone. Even the green energy grifters who contributed to this disaster are going bust. Australia can't even bag potatoes anymore. Matt Barry telling you what's going on here. And in amongst all of this awful drama, what's your government doing?
But we cancelled anyway, and that'd be Kanye West. He's made a lot of offensive comments.
Everybody remembers the kind of snivelling, drivelling POS that Tony Burke was at school. And all of us remember how bad Chris Bowen types were, as well as Albanese. These aren't leadership material people. They're absolute and utter trash. And they're leading our country down this garden path of absolute and utter decimation. I hate to be the one sitting here telling you at 6 o'clock in the morning how shit things are. But when really successful businessmen like Matt Barry are telling you how bad it is, and I've got 5 businesses and I'm telling you how bad it is, and every business owner I know is looking for a way to offshore their staff or to wind down their operations because it's not sustainable in Australia anymore, and they're looking to get out of the country. Oh, we're all telling you, shit's about to get real, like real. You are going to see pain on a level that you've never experienced in your whole life. Brace yourself, Australia. This one's going to hurt.
Brady.
I think we lost Brady, did we?
No, sorry, I thought it was breaking up. It's sort of flicking in and out. I don't think my net's very good here.
Yeah, we're getting told we're getting hammered a little bit, but Brady, give us your comments on that. Scotty does some really good stuff, mate. But that, and he's always breaking down the background of the Australian economy, and every area he goes to, mate, is just failing quickly. Why? By design, Brady.
Yeah. Yeah, it's turning the screws and turning the screws and turning the screws. And like I said before, we all knew it was coming, but now that we're sort of really watching it happen with this treaty stuff in the Victoria and the fire levy down there, and I mean, Victoria's copping it hard. It's been the sort of forefront of all of this, but still copping it hard. But I just still see all of this failing. This is going to hurt a lot. But all they got is a head start, and so I still think that we can pull this back. There's a lot of people going to step into leadership roles within themselves that they never even knew they were possible of, and every single thing they do is just pushes us together. It drives us to alternatives. It drives us together. Adversity unites. The communities are coming together like never before. Affluence has separated us, and adversity unites. And so it's going to be really horrible, but we're really going to see some brilliant people do some brilliant things together that we've never seen before here in Australia, because we haven't had that haven't had that adversity. But it's just a shame that it sort of takes adversity to do this. But I keep saying it, all they got is a head start, and we just didn't see it coming. So we'll get this back, and these people will be in jail one day at best. If I was them, I'd be giving up now, because at best case, they'll go to jail. Worst case, well, some of these people, imagine all of the people who have just buried their heads and tried to get along with this and tried to just wish it would go away, all realising all of a sudden what's going on, and that their kids and family are involved, and standing out the front of the house that they used to own with a bag of clothes in one hand and their kids in the other. They're the people who are going to make, who I'd be scared of if I was them, and they're the people that we need to make the real difference. We've laid the pavement or the foundation, and there's a lot of people going to come stand on that real quick, and I'd be scared of them if I was them.
Well, it is interesting, isn't it? One person over in LA has put together why Australia is a testing ground, and it's actually very succinctly put.
My last video, and I haven't stopped thinking about it. They test it all out in Australia first. And I'll be real with you guys, Terry is exactly correct, because Australia has been the beta site for global control systems, and now those very systems, they're being exported right to your front door in America. So why Australia? Because it's isolated, because it's rich, because it has a tech-savvy population, because it has Western institutions, but not Western resistance. There is no First or Second Amendment down there. There is no right to free speech. There is no constitutional right to protest or bear arms. So, governments, corporations, and tech giants say, let's run the simulation in Australia first. So they tested digital ID rollouts, biometric surveillance, internet censorship, emergency lockdown powers, education compliance systems tied to behavioral monitoring, and it worked. Not because people were weak, but because the system was airtight. And now that they know it works in a democracy-like environment, guess what? They're bringing it here. And now, education is phase 2. What started as public health and digital ID control is now moving into curriculum control, funding cuts, book bans, behavior monitoring, all framed as safety and accountability. But what it really is obedience training. So when Terry said they tested in Australia first, they weren't exaggerating. They were sounding the alarm bell. Because if you want to see the future of America, look at what's already being tested on our allies. They ran the drill. They perfected the method. And now the rollout has begun. So the next time someone tells you that could never happen here, remind them it already did. They just did it 9,000 miles away.
Too true. Testing ground. There's a few countries where it's all tested in different ways. Go, Brady.
Oh, look, I still look at that sort of stuff and just none of it works. we got a real problem about what we're going to do while this isn't working, while this doesn't work. But we got to worry about what we're going to do while it doesn't, and what we're going to do when it hasn't. The digital ID will be refused. The CBDC will be refused. Look at what happened to CBDC in Nigeria. Look at what's going on in China. When people realise just how much of a fucking monkey on their back this digital ID thing is, and all this surveillance, they're going to reject it. It's like we've got a real problem with what they're trying to do, but they won't achieve any of it. None of it. None of it at all.
Well,
it's
they want
ridiculous.
access
The idea of just a couple of people being able to control the world with a fucking robot dog with a camera up its ass, and all of this sort of and the whole world, let alone a whole country, is ridiculous. That's how insane these people are. How insane do you have to be to think of something like this, let alone think you can do it, let alone actually try? They are off the planet.
Well, it's interesting,
and now they
isn't
want
it?
to access your home security, Brady. Yeah, but anyway, go on, Caz, sorry.
Yeah, no, and 34 million on 200 speed cameras as well to track how quickly you move between places. Like it's just over the top ridiculousness. But look, just a couple of headlines before as we sort of move on towards the end of the show. So, a veteran truckie has had an interview with Ben Fordham and is talking about a handful of foreign drivers aren't being safe on our roads. They don't care or nor do they understand. So, yes, well, that's interesting. But on a good news front, we have this, and that is that the FDA has come out and said that the mRNA COVID shots cause myocarditis. So it's got a new safety label on it. Now, with the PDD stuff also, this is important, and that is that Alex Jones has broken down very well indeed about the cover-up that's going on, because the person who was in charge of it was actually James Comey's daughter. So none of the charges, only 2 of the charges basically are stuck. Isn't that interesting? And then, of course, you've got some really interesting stuff going on. We like to cover a bit of Q news here, Brady. So the White House was actually red last night, which is in the Q codes, rig for red. But also 2 very astounding things have happened. So we've interviewed Tori Sayers on the show, and she's always been very conservative, very not really put in a lot of, not really said a lot, but we do know that there's a connection there. that's with top level in the White House. Now, she's actually come out and she says, don't forget to have cash on hand. I think it's July 3rd or 4th at Zelly will no longer be working till after the 14th, and your ATMs may not be working for 10 days. So please have some cash on hand just in case there's a bug during this transition to the new system. Make sure to have a variety of bills. And also, something else that she put out, which is very interesting, and this was in response to some W.R. Sherlock, who said she isn't a happy ending escort with regards to Lauren Bobbitt. And Tori says, who goes by the handle Chaos Coordinator now, has said bottom of the barrel actors and models as Congress and Senate. It's not just AOC. The Republican Party has a ton of them. Now, this is the first time that she's actually come out and admitted that there's actors covering the Republican Party members and the Senate, which is huge.
Yeah, she's got a reputation.
So,
she had high-level security clearance. She's in with Scavino, as Caz will tell you. And she doesn't
had the
really
highest-
open her mouth unless she knows what she's saying, yeah.
Yeah, it's some sort of, it was above Majestic. It was some sort of clearance like Universal or something like that. She basically had the top level security clearance. So, yeah, so very interesting that she should come out and say that. So anyway, so very fascinating. Look, we've been taken out by Rocking Housewife tonight. Rise from the Ashes, Brady. If you'd like to have some final words, and Dave, if you'd like to wrap up and close the show, I'll hit play.
Go for it, Brady.
Yeah, I just think it's really important to keep the vibe high. So easy to swamp yourself with what's going on here. We've got to be really discerning about what we are looking at and whether or not it's true or not, and the way we're looking at it. This is a war for minds and spirits, and so we need to keep our minds sharp and our spirits strong. We need to stay together, and you don't need, and we have to do something. You don't need to know everything about everything, but you do have to do something. It doesn't need to be a whole big running for president sort of project. You can go to stand in the park, you can go on a convoy, you can go and do whatever you need to do. The intention behind that is what we're talking about here. In an energetic war, we need to move our bodies with intention, but we've got to keep the vibe high. We're going to be okay. We will pull through this. It is just a phase. This is a wicked, evil energy whiplashing out as it's dying in a fucking heap and taking what it can on its way out. This is total Wizard of Oz smoke and mirrors bullshit. It's nowhere near as bad as it looks. We are going to have to stand up and not comply. And we are going to have to stand up in the face of fines and some of these other things and look like we might lose our properties. It's the only way. But setting aside that, this is totally ridiculous. It's so utterly ridiculous that it's mind-blowing that they're even trying it. And so we will come out the other side, and we've got to have faith in these kids and go to a stand in the park. Stand in the park is way more powerful than it looks. It looks unassuming, but when we look at it as a global thing, a whole bunch of yellow people standing as energetic pinpoints all around the world. It's only once a month now. We've moved it to once a month. Well, it's really important, and we got to have energy exchanges in the physical. We cannot just stay online here. We have to be around other people. It's as important as food and water. We got to keep around each other. Really important. And big love to you guys, man. Honestly, amazing what you're doing here. We all love you for it. Appreciate you a lot.
Thank you, and you have drawn the admiration of our viewers. Get Brady on more often. So yeah, there you go. So you'll have to come back on when you're free again. So yeah,
as we move through this, for sure. Yeah.
They're saying once a week.
Yeah, no, they love you, obviously. So yeah, good work.
That's good.
Free back,
And
Brady.
look, this is the love that we have, guys. All right, this is the unique love that, if we call it this freedom family, these people that are awake, that we do have for each other, right? And that's what this weekend's all about. Okay, showing the love, getting out, backing people up. As I say, I'm gonna push on a pretty hard campaign after Jody's little bit here, guys, because we need to really keep motoring. Thank you to Stand in the Park. You've been there from the beginning, mate. We salute you, Brady, for what you've done, mate, and for what you've actually brought worldwide internationally to the Australian people and the Australian market, you know. And we just got to keep doing it. I was going to go out talking about some of our defence and that, guys, but I'm going to leave that tomorrow night's show because I don't want to finish on a downer. I think Brady's really given us a really uplifting show here with his comments and that. And we are going to get this, guys. All right, we'll get this, but we're going to go through some tyranny. The tyranny is going to get harder in the next month or two. Okay, but we're here. We're here to endure and overcome. God already won the war. All right, we're here to do our bit. So once again, from the Australian people, Brody, thank you very much, mate. Appreciate you big time.
Thanks, guys.
In shadows deep where the silence screams, torn leaves scattered like shattered dreams, where the broken stitched in despair, crippled in silence, gasping for air, with eyes wide shut they cast us aside, living marionettes in a dance of pride, invisible chains they bind us tight, a world of compliance devoid of light. Scream, the truth is a razor cutting through the lies, the twisted wager. Stand tall in the face of their storm. We'll rise from the ashes, our spirits reborn in the shadow of towers built on deceit. We'll rally our voices, we will not retreat. Heartbeats echo like thunder in pain, innocence falling like drops of rain. What's left of humanity lost in the fray? Once we were warriors, now mere shades of grey. They preach us salvation, yet leave us to rot. As the age of the innocent is all but forgot, feathers fly wild like a tempest unleashed. In the chair of despair, the suffering's increased. Scream, the truth is a razor cutting through the lies, the twisted wager. Stand tall in the face of their storm. We'll rise from the ashes, our spirits reborn in the shadow of towers built on deceit. We'll rally our voices, we will not retreat. Locked in our homes while the world spins away, a cycle of sorrow in this cruel ballet. Heart attacks lurking like shadows at night. Youth is but fiction under the blinding light. The vaccinated cry like echoes in pain. When did we lose our humanity? Where's the game? Feel the fire, ignite the rage, break the silence, step off this cage. Together united, a force to behold. The tales of the injured, the truth shall be told. Stand in the fury, let it roar and rise. We're the kings of our fate, no more alibi.